Hey guys, Max here. Let's talk about iPad Pro 13-inch with M4 chip in it. Now, I pre-ordered this device first because I kind of felt like, judging on the history with Apple releasing their products, I kind of felt like this was going to sell out the quickest. I'm glad I ordered this one first. At the same time, with the keyboard, yes, this keyboard is not cheap, but their redesign is so welcome. I'll go more into details about the keyboard. Now this is a 512 gigabyte variant. I did not need anything over 512. I know a terabyte and over is a bit of a more powerful iPad. And at the same time, it also offers the option of upgrading this to a nano texture display. I'm not a fan of nano texture display because I kind of feel like it takes away from the quality of display. Because imagine having that extra layer on top of a display. I've had similar, like there are screen protectors that gives you that like paper-like experience. It kind of similar experience. It just takes away from the true quality of a display. And this is one gorgeous, gorgeous display. It gets bright. Watching movies on this is amazing. So for nano textured, I guess it makes sense for those who are constantly in the environment that's brightly lit. This display is very reflective, as you could see. It picks up reflections really quick. So for those who are in an environment that's always with a lot of light, I guess it makes sense, especially if the work calls for having that type of display. But for my use, I choose quality of a display as far as the image quality, and for me the nano texture was not something I was looking for. I'm sure for those who watched other iPad videos on the YouTube about iPad Pros, the new ones, I'm sure a lot of people said the same. We didn't ask for a thinner device, nor a light one, but it is a very, very welcome change. This thing is light. It is almost one-handed type of device. I just think it's 13 inches a little bit too big for one-handed device, but knowing how Apple has designed their system with same thing with the iOS and the iPad OS, where you can hold the display and still be able to use a display. But I want to feel more comfortable as far as using it as a one-handed device, and this was not it. The best thing to do when it comes to buying new products, it's always trying to see if there are trades available. So like for example, when I got this one, I traded in my M1 iPad Pro 12.9 inch. So I got a really nice discount. So I was able to get this at a better price. And then when I purchased the 11 inch with M4, 11-inch iPad Pro with M4, I also got it with the trade. So in the process, it was not cheap, but it was definitely cheaper than I would have just bought it without having any trades to offer when getting these devices. Now, one of the biggest changes that they did with this type of device, besides having a display or how thin it is moving this camera from here to over here. So for one-handed users, especially like for example, the 11-inch, I'm a right-handed person. So using it like this, especially if I'm holding it, I'm generally holding it like this. And this is where the camera is. So a lot of times I'll get an arrow making me aware that I'm blocking the camera. At the same time, constantly holding over here will also leave fingerprint marks. So kind of the camera will not look as clean. So definitely going to need to use microfiber pretty often on the display because it is a fingerprint magnet. It really is. I thought in the past they use like anti-fingerprint texture, like layering on the display. I don't know if they did on this one because it really does pick up fingerprints very easy. Battery. I am absolutely blown away. Now, this video might be very positive at the beginning because I'm going to go over the good things about it and then I'll lead into the negative. So the battery, absolutely amazing. So I was watching TV show earlier. I watched several episodes and then I caught myself. I was like, wait, I have to record a YouTube video. Like, I probably need to charge it. And then literally, I clicked to look at the battery percentage. It was 90% left. I hope this battery stays the way it is. I know I read online that there's some people complain about the battery. For me, it's been absolutely, like, I've been blown away how great this battery is. And this is even comparing, like, I've had the only iPad Pro that I did not have was with the M2 chip because I just did not see the need to upgrade from M1 to M2. But I've had almost every iPad. So this is judging, in my opinion, going back with every iPad that I had. The battery on this one is, I would say, beyond when compared to all the other ones. I remember having iPad Pros, even like the first ones that came out, the battery was just bleeding. This one, it just keeps on going. I haven't reached to a point where, like, I've taken this out with me for a 12-hour workday, and I still came back home with plenty of percentage of battery left. So the battery on this is absolutely amazing. And it's so shocking how thin this device is to have such a good battery. Speakers on this iPad 13 Pro, 13-inch Pro, iPad Pro 13-inch. The speakers are amazing. They're really good. The sound is very loud. It's bassy. It's not as bassy as the 12.9 one with M1 that I traded for this one, but it's literally a slight difference. The speakers, I mean, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of Apple's speakers, even with their, like the iPhones. The speakers, like they know how to deliver speakers on their devices, and this also delivers amazing sounding speakers. Now, let's go into this keyboard. Let me tell you, whatever Apple did to redesign this, I think this is their best product so far as this year with the release. The best. Like, look at this. It makes sense. And I'm talking about, I've had keyboards for almost, I've had a lot of keyboards for whatever the tablets that offered keyboards. And this is the best one. The keyboard makes sense. It's large enough. The way it unfolds also makes sense because the previous one only unfolded this much and then you had to use it this way, and then the iPad was in where the keys were, kind of annoying because sometimes like I touch the screen versus touching the buttons. But having now it unfold, like open to, I would say it's about 90. I think it's a little bit less than 90, but it's enough. Let me just put the iPad inside. I'm talking about like less than 90, maybe like 85 degrees. Like, this is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. And it holds well as far as the balance. I guess it makes sense why they went with aluminum, because of the bassy. They didn't want the iPad to fall back, and it really holds well. Absolutely. Like, this is beautiful. Like, the future, it is gonna be amazing with more products coming out. But this is perfect. I think this absolutely, like, this design is perfection. Now there is a key, like there's a USB-C over here. I did not look into what capabilities as far as the charging it has. I compared it by charging it through here, and it seemed a little bit slower than it is by charging it through a USB-C port in the iPad itself. Like, I absolutely like love how this looked. Like, I mean, look at this. This feels like a complete package. A little bit negative with the keyboard. Not a fan of having this aluminum exposed. I kind of feel like this is going to be scratched up if I'm not careful. Like, I am really careful when I'm trying to open the iPad, and it's not easy. Like, placing it on the surface and trying to open it with one finger, it's really hard. Like, look at that. I'm like putting my nail in it, and I barely have any. So having to go and open it like that, it makes it not comfortable. So what I usually end up doing it is having to open it like this in order to unclamp it. But because I have to place it on the surface, this always feels like it's scraping. Hopefully stays long without having to look damaged. I know the other one was prone to like scratches, and it did scrape in places easily, the other one. So I see why they went with this design at the same time to offer a kind of minimalistic design. Also having to use like the Apple Pencil Pro, just making sure this is the one. It says Apple Pencil Pro on it. Let me see if it focuses. There you go. It's Pencil Pro. So by putting it here, it just looks so nice. Let me open it. Like, I have to put it on my lap in order to easily open it, but this just looks like a more of a complete package. And having obviously the fact that they moved camera right over there. Let me see if you guys could see it. Let me see. There you go. That hole right there is the camera. So having that in the landscape makes more sense. And it's absolutely, and it still balances very well. Okay, so those are the positive things. The Apple Pencil, I mean, I haven't used this one much, but I kind of felt like I don't know what the future brings. I might go back to school, and when I did finish my nursing, I used my iPad with this pencil religiously, and it made my schooling so much easier. It wasn't this pencil actually, it was the one that you had to plug in. I finished school a while ago, but that the Apple Pencil and the iPad made my schooling a breeze. Like, I've tried using, I'm a fan of Android because of the openness and how much freedom it offers versus the iPad OS, which I'll go into it. But for schooling, the way that Apple just designed their system to work, like I open PDF files and just write things on and it's saved on it. I just used the Books application by Apple. I think it's called Books. Let me see. In the past, it used to be, I think, called iBooks. Books, yeah, just the Books. So having that application just opened up PDF files on it, and it just made things a lot easier as far as schooling. This display is absolutely gorgeous, especially like watching HDR content and having that pop in your face, the color, the beautiful display. Honestly, the display is worth it. Like, this OLED panel, Apple really, I mean, generally, I'm not gonna rave about Apple because I've seen in the past how slow they are when it comes to bringing the tech to us. Like, they're a little bit behind, but what I do like about Apple is they put a research before they deliver something to us. Like, to give an example, like the iPad in the past wasn't able to do multitasking, but at least having those two windows side by side just works so much better versus, like, for example, sometimes with Android things could get a little bit clunky. But multitasking on Android, especially with Samsung DeX, miles away with whatever the stage manager could do. Let me just activate it. It's right here. So let's see, the stage manager. I mean, this, let me, the bars on top, but this is stage manager. Let me see if I could open up another application. Okay. So like this is Max, and then this is the photo. It's like, it's just, it's not as what Dex is capable of. There's still a lot of limitation, but it's still much better than what originally Stage Manager was. So I see that Apple is moving towards the right direction as far as offering the multitasking. I mean, in the past, I was using Stage Manager, and I wasn't even able to watch videos at the same time because of Stage Manager. So having two apps with the Stage Manager off, like the multitasking, it's slow the way Apple is bringing it to us with iPad OS. Again, when compared to competition, but at least they're delivering to us with functionality. It just works because Android has offered multitasking for years, way ahead of anything on with Apple as far as iOS or iPad OS. But it took years to point where multitasking makes sense in Android. So kind of they're going hand in hand. Yes, Android offered it way before, but there were glitches, bugs, and just funky at times versus to how it is now on DeX, for example, with Samsung, and the same thing like how iPad is delivering multitasking. So, which leads me into the usage of the iPad OS. What is the point of having all this power in an iPad when all it does is just iPad OS? Literally. Yeah, every keynote or whatever they call it now is about how much powerful this chip is. But I'm pretty much doing basically what an original iPad did, just opened application in a larger format. To me, it's like, it feels like an iPhone, but in a larger format. And it made sense in the past when they first released an iPad, because the iPhones back then had a lot smaller displays, and reading things on a small display was just not as comfortable. So when they released first iPad, having that bigger display just made more sense. And then when the Pro came out, oh, that opened up doors into enjoying movies and television shows a lot more with portability. But when Apple decided going with their silicon chip, like the M chip, that brought power because they used M chips and the Macs. So, and that was the whole thing, how when Apple brought the M chips in their Macs, they kind of leaped ahead versus to the competition, to what they had before. So having a powerful chip and a device is a waste, because all it does is iPad OS. Yes, we're getting to a point where, like, for example, we have the Final Cut and Logic Pro, the applications that we do, but the availability of Pro version applications is still limited. Like, we have DaVinci Resolve. Like, yeah, we're getting there. And they're much better as far as being a touch friendly than what they were originally. But still, it's an iPad OS. And I think the biggest negative when it comes to an iPad is the OS that it runs. It's just limited. And then at the same time, like for example, my favorite application for wallpapers, it's Wallcraft. It only works in portrait. Like, come on. This shouldn't happen in 2024, especially with a powerful device as this. Or like, for example, opening up, where is it? Instagram. Like, come on. Why does it look like an iPhone application that's blown up? Like, literally. Why? Literally. This they introduced years ago, so we could use iOS application on iPad OS. But like, come on. This should not be happening nowadays. This is just inexcusable. I get it. A lot of it depends on the companies that's producing those applications. But on the Android tablets, I'm able to open up phone applications in a larger format that could take all the real estate of a display. So what's holding behind this amazing, beautiful, beautiful device is iPad OS. So the question is, if you have M2 iPad Pro or M1 iPad Pro, which has beautiful micro LED display, is it worth upgrading to iPad Pro 13-inch? Question is, can you afford it? Does it make financially smart decision to upgrade to this device when M2 and M1 iPad Pros are amazing to begin with, and they both, you could use Apple Pencil on those. Definitely the Apple Pencil Pro is only compatible with this device. Like for example, the magnets, they're here, but yeah. All right, see, it doesn't hold, but this one does. So, I mean, it's nice. Pressing on it, there's a little feedback. Reminds me when we had the iPhones with touch, what was it, the home button. There you go. The home button, and when they replaced the physical home button with the tactile one, it felt like it was physical, but it was tactile. Kind of feels like that. So, does it make sense for someone to upgrade? Now, for those that have iPad Pros before the M chip, this no brainer. This is light. This is amazing. The other ones are like clunky iPads. But this one is expensive. It is expensive. Definitely if you have trades, something to consider. Look for options. I know Best Buy offers trades here in US. Apple offered trades. There are a bunch of ways to score this device with trades, but with no trades, it is expensive. It goes into thousands if maxing out on the specs. This is a cellular version. That's one thing I like about Apple. They've always delivered iPads that was Wi-Fi variant and cellular variant. Like whenever I bought an iPad, I don't remember the first one to be honestly, but I just know that going back, whenever there was an iPad, I always bought the cellular version one. And having 5G on this device, which gives me an insane fast speeds. Let me show you. I did a speed test today, which I was blown away by it. Let me see. There we go. Results. Let me see. So the one that I did today, download, was over 900 megabytes per second. That's crazy. On the go. But again, the power, all that speed, some applications are able to use advantage of that, like streaming movies, but the power is all kind of held back by iPad OS. I think the biggest negative with this device is iPad OS because everything else about this device screams near perfection. Like it's light, it's thin, it's very proportionate. Having those cornered, like rounded corners, it makes, like, even when holding like that, it's not jabbing into my fingers. The display itself, it's just gorgeous. Like, I'm gonna show you, like this display is absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. It's, oh, I like I love it. And the speakers, let me play a song. Let me increase the volume to the fullest. Now, the display is not at the full brightness because it's just bright. Let me just show it to you how bright it gets. Look at this. This is crazy. So let me lower the brightness again and let me play music. Let's play this one. I love this music. Like, it's just like, watching those movies with the futuristic, how they have those handheld or they're super thin or see-through. Like, holding this in my hand just makes me feel the future is going to be very exciting with the technology that we're going to have. But overall, this is a great device. Let me see if I could open. I don't see this being like a one-handed device. It's light and it's thin, but for me, like, for example, having this as one-handed, this is like very big. Like, this is the 11-inch one, and then this is the 13, and having this as a one-handed device, it's a great idea, but I think it's just too big. So afterwards, I ended up going and buying the 11-inch. This is the cellular version. This is the 256 gigabyte version because they were selling out really quick. I wanted to buy the 512 one. Like, this one I bought from Best Buy, and this one I bought from Apple. Because I have Best Buy Total membership, which automatically comes with Apple Care. So it was smart for me to go with Best Buy. But the trade that I got from iPad to iPad, I ended up getting it through Apple. So overall, do I recommend this device? If you can afford it, hands down, it's absolutely amazing device. Display is great, it's light, the redesigned keyboard, this new, yeah, that's the right pencil. The new pencil is great. Let me see if I could open up something. The new pencil is very good. So let me just close. New. There you go. So the new pencil is definitely very responsive. And then see, it automatically made it into an S. And then when clicking, it opens up this over here, which allows for a shortcuts to begin with, like I could erase it. There, like for someone who needs an Apple Pencil, like when I went to school, Apple Pencil was a golden for me. Yeah, I've used Samsung S Pens with Samsung, but for schooling, iPad was a must for me because it just made going to school and doing stuff that I needed for school so much easier. Opening up and stuff in the books application, just writing right on it. So for students, if they can afford it, yeah. And I would try to go for a 13-inch because if you're looking to take full advantage of the keyboard with comfort use, like for example, let me show you the difference. So this is the keyboard for 11-inch. It has a smaller trackpad, it has a smaller keyboard, and then comparing it to a larger keyboard, look at the difference. I'm trying to put it together where I could show the difference. Here we go. Look at the difference. It's a huge difference as far as how much you get out of using these keyboards. Ooh, look at the difference. So for those who have tiny hands, I guess this would make sense. For people with anything average and above hands, definitely this makes more sense. It doesn't click the trackpad, but it works flawlessly. Like the future definitely looks promising where Apple is going with this whole design. As long as they change iPad OS into something that's makes more sense, because in 2024 with powerful chips and so capable devices, we should not be limited by iPad OS the way it is now. So I'm hoping Apple releases iPad OS that offers us that, especially iPad OS 18 is around the corner, literally less than 2 weeks away. But don't go out there and buy an iPad based on the rumors or the speculation when it comes to what the iPad OS 18 is going to bring. There's a lot of rumors out there that I've been reading that sort of like Mac OS type of experience with iPad OS 18. At this point, we still have an iPad OS because those rumors and speculations were also there before the 17th and the 16th of iPad OS, and we still have iPad OS. Just slowly they're introducing more pro applications, and what I've noticed, like for example, Final Cut Pro application, like when they first introduced it, it wasn't really touch friendly, but they're definitely improved a lot. And I know the new one that's coming out with even more improvements. So they're slowly improving. And what I'm guessing is that, and this is just my guess, I have a feeling like iPad OS is just going to stay iPad OS, but Apple is just going to keep on bringing more pro application. And I personally don't want Mac OS on the iPad. I'm okay with something that's similar to iPad OS. I would love this to be more open than what it is now, like such as like, for example, opening up a Windows or opening up a Mac and like transferring files, and the whole multitasking is a lot easier in Mac OS. The multitasking over here is so far behind. Like I wish Apple Apple sort of copied from the decks and bring us a similar experience like that, I wouldn't mind, because Stage Manager at this point sucks in my opinion. So I would love to see more of a multitasking implementation. Like even take Stage Manager and perfect it, because at this point Stage Manager I think is limited in what it can do. I'm just going to open a few applications. Let me lower the volume. I mean, in the past, I remember when they even had like the Stage Manager. I remember I was trying to use the Stage Manager, but at the same like watch videos. So having at least having that ability to watch videos while using Stage Manager, at least that's a plus. So I see that they're moving towards the right direction. I just wish that they would implement the power that's already built into the iPads nowadays, because I feel they could literally turn this into a monster of a device. If it is capable with all the power that's underneath its hood, like this is capable of doing a lot more than what it does now. So again, this is amazing device. It's pricey device. The only big negative at this point about this device is iPad OS. Now, if you're like me who loves watching movies and like for example watching television shows, and you need that beautiful display with beautiful speakers, amazing powerful battery, and then this is an amazing device. At the same time, if you're working like for example on Pages or Microsoft Word, and because you could use that on this, and then it comes with an amazing keyboard. Yeah, but if you're looking for a device that supposedly works like Mac OS, this is not it. Might as well just go for the Mac. At this point, this is iPad OS. I'm okay with what it is at this point now. I would love it to be more, but iPad OS is definitely holding the potential of this device back. So, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comment below. I've had this iPad since it was released. I do love it. I really do. Like I said, the big negative is the iPad OS. Let me see the pencil. There you go. So again, if you have any questions, comment below. I do love to read those comments. I'll respond if I know the answers. If I miss something and you want to add something, please comment below, because other people do they comment below and they ask questions. If I don't know something and you guys know something, join in. It's definitely a team effort. Okay? Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna post a video on the 11-inch iPad. So if you're interested, that's the one that's gonna come next. Again, thanks for watching.